Somewhere in Africa, deep within the desert sands, there is a grave marked with a simple stone bearing the coat of arms of Portugal. Beneath it lies the body of a young king who died far from home on an ill-fated campaign. This is the story of King Sebastian I of Portugal, who died at the Battle of the Three Kings. It's August 4th, 1578, and the Portuguese are preparing for battle. They are facing an enemy twice their size, so they have no option but to deploy their army along the banks of the river Lucos in a single line, hoping to discourage attack. It's an open field, hard-baked earth under a merciless sun, the perfect place to fight a battle. And when their opponents finally appear on the horizon, it's clear this will be a day to remember. The Portuguese were not in Morocco by accident. Their presence was the result of the machinations of the ambitious young king. Sebastian I, a man whose desire for glory and conquest outweighed his ability to rule. He was only 24 years old. His grandfather, King John III, had left the kingdom stable and prosperous. But Sebastian was restless. At court, he surrounded himself with counselors eager to take Portugal to war, men like the infamous Perot de Escobar, a soldier who had fought in Italy and France and convinced the young king that more glory awaited them overseas. Then there was Sebastian's half-sister, Joanna, a former queen of Spain, who suggested the Moroccan campaign. Her husband, Philip II, ruler of Spain and the Low Countries, supported her idea. Seeing Morocco as a strategic threat to his possessions in southern Europe, Sebastian agreed, though his counselors opposed it. His mother, Queen Isabella, even begged him not to go. But nothing could dissuade the young monarch. He wanted to make his mark on history, and he thought he could do so by conquering Morocco. The plan was to replace the current ruling dynasty of Morocco with one more favorable to Portugal. They identified al-Mutawakkil, the former ruler of Fez, deposed in a palace coup by his brother Sultan Abd al-Malik. If Sebastian helped him reclaim the throne, al-Mutawakkil would become a vassal to the Portuguese crown, giving them a strategic foothold in the region. The king raised a huge army, with some 60,000 soldiers, 10,000 of them veteran troops who had fought alongside the Spanish in Italy. There were also thousands of volunteers from southern Europe, many of them criminals given a choice between prison and military service. To lead them, Sebastian chose experienced commanders such as the Duke of Aveiro, Fernão, Alvarez Pereira. However, his own role in the upcoming campaign caused concern among those around him. Would the young king show restraint and follow his advisors' counsel, or would his impulsiveness lead them all to disaster? As it turned out, Sebastian wanted to be at the center of everything. When the Portuguese arrived in Morocco in July 1578, their goal was clear: march on the capital city of Fez, depose Sultan Abd al-Malik, and replace him with al-Mutawakkil. For their part, the Moroccans knew their enemies were coming. Abd al-Malik was already seriously ill, probably suffering from tuberculosis, but he prepared his army anyway. This force numbered approximately 70,000 men, a mix of veteran troops, tribal levies, and mercenaries. Many of these men were recent converts to Islam, but they were led by experienced officers, including many from the Ottoman Empire, which had been aiding the Sultan since 1551. The Portuguese might have been larger, but the Moroccans were prepared to use hit-and-run tactics to defeat them. On August 4th, 1578, the two armies met near the town of Qasr el-Kibir, on the banks of the river Lucos. The Portuguese were forced to line up along the river in a single line, while the Moroccans waited on the opposite bank, hidden from view. When the Portuguese advanced, the Moroccans retreated deeper into the marshes, until they reached a small hill. There they deployed their cavalry on the flanks and their infantry in the center, ready to defend their position. Once again, the Portuguese were unaware of the trap they had walked into. As the battle began, the Portuguese cavalry charged across the flatlands. The Moroccan cavalrymen were faster and more maneuverable, and let them pass before circling back to flank them. The Portuguese infantry moved forward, but the open field offered little cover, and the Moroccan artillery bombarded them. When the infantry reached the base of the hill, the real battle began. The Portuguese, disciplined and well-equipped, fought fiercely. Swords flashed in the sunlight, maces crushed skulls, and men fell victim to the deadly Moroccan scimitars. The battle raged for hours. It was a brutal affair, and both sides claimed victory at different points. There were times when the Portuguese seemed close to winning, but the Moroccan cavalry kept harassing their flanks. And whenever the Portuguese thought they had defeated the Moroccans on the hill, they saw their flag reappear on the horizon. In the midst of the chaos, King Sebastian fought bravely, but he was not a tactical genius. Unlike his opponents, he did not heed the advice of his counselors, nor did he seem aware of his own mortality. Some accounts say he fought atop a tower, firing his crossbow at the enemy, while others claim he spent most of the day inside a tent drinking wine. What is certain is that he personally led several charges, which threw the Portuguese into disarray and lost many good soldiers. And he was certainly present when the tide of battle turned against them. As the day wore on, the Portuguese began losing ground. Their ranks were thinner, their supplies were low, and their ammunition was running out. Sebastian desperately ordered another assault. By now he was fighting in full view of the enemy, dressed in ornate armor, a shining beacon in the dust and smoke of battle. He rode a magnificent horse and wielded a jeweled sword, a symbol of the wealth and power of the Portuguese crown. But such regalia was useless against the relentless attacks of the Moroccan cavalry. One of these riders dealt a fatal blow, striking Sebastian's horse and sending him tumbling to the ground. That was the last anyone saw of him alive. No one knows what happened to his body. Some say it was chopped up by the enemy. Others claim it was tossed into a nearby lake. Historians believe it may have been taken to where it was buried in a mosque, but his remains were never recovered. His death certificate simply says that he was slain in battle and laid to rest in an unknown location. Sebastian wasn't the only casualty that day. Almudawaco, the man who had invited the Portuguese to invade his country, tried to flee across the marshes. Once it became clear the battle was lost, he crossed rivers on horseback and then on foot. But he was captured and beheaded by the Moroccans. Sultan Abd al-Malik died as well, though the circumstances surrounding his death are unclear. He had been very sick with tuberculosis, and rumors persisted that he had died during the battle, possibly from exhaustion, or perhaps a Portuguese cannonball. But most historians agree he survived the battle, only to die soon after from natural causes. For the Portuguese, the battle was a catastrophe. Thousands of soldiers were dead, including almost every member of the Portuguese nobility. Not only were they unable to conquer Morocco, but they had lost their king, and there was no clear heir to replace him. This led to a succession crisis that lasted 7 years and resulted in the Portuguese throne passing to Philip II of Spain, though the treaty intended for Sebastian's half-sister, Joanna, to retain control of Portugal. She and her son were imprisoned by Philip, who ruled Portugal directly for the next 60 years. But for the Moroccans, the battle was a glorious victory. The Ottomans, who had sent ships and troops to aid them, were so pleased with the outcome that they granted Morocco the right to strike the Ottoman crescent onto their flags, a rare honor bestowed on only one other ally, the Egyptians. Under the leadership of Abd al-Malik's brother, Ahmad al-Mansur, Morocco entered a period of great prosperity. The empire expanded southward into the Sahara, reaching as far as the Atlantic Ocean. During this time, Morocco became one of the richest and most culturally diverse empires in the world. Its cities were centers of trade and scholarship. Its rulers built mosques, palaces, and gardens that are still admired today. And so it was that in the course of a single day, the fortunes of two empires were reversed. A tiny kingdom on the other side of the world gained vast new lands, and a powerful dynasty came to an end. Yet despite the magnitude of the changes it wrought, this decisive battle is still relatively obscure. Few people know the story of the three kings, and fewer still understand how it shaped the course of history.